today I'm going to do like a 20-30 minute quick yoga flow that you can do in the morning or right after you get off work. Just something that you can do really quick if you're short on time. And so to begin, we're just going to start in Child's Pose and just get warmed up. So just getting settled in your mat. You can have your knees together or you can bring them about the width of your mat and just settle back in your heels and bring your hands forward and let your head rest on your mat. And just come into your breath here, focusing on the inhalation and the exhalation. And slowly begin to walk your fingers forward just a little bit, and then begin to shift the weight, your shoulders over your wrists, coming into a tabletop pose. And we'll take a couple of rounds of cat-cow pose. So on an inhale, we're going to look forward, arching our back, and on an exhale, rounding out into cow. And just doing a couple of rounds of these, just to get your spine warmed up. Begin to work your muscles. And then coming to a flat back, tucking your toes under and pushing your hips up and back towards the sky. And just walk your feet out a little bit here and stretch out the calves and the backs of your hamstrings. And just kind of move your body around and see where you're feeling a little stiff. And just move your body in a way that feels good to you. And come to your tippy toes. And bring your chest to your knees. And then slowly begin to straighten your legs, trying to keep your chest as close to your knees as possible. You can really feel your hips being pushed up to the sky. And then lower your heels down as much as you can. They don't have to be touching, they can be high. You can even have a little bend in your knees. So just figure out your best down dog that works for you. And then slowly begin to shift your shoulders over your wrists, coming into a plank pose, really pushing out through your palms, pulling your belly button into your spine, and squeezing your core, and pushing out through your hands, and shift your shoulders over your wrist, and lower down all the way to the mat. And we're going to inhale up to Low Cobra, just using your hands a little bit for support. So you're not really using your hands to bring you all the way up like this. You just want to take a little bit of a lift. And exhale, lower down. And inhale up, Low Cobra, and exhale, lower down. One more time, inhale up, Low Cobra, and exhale, lower down. Tuck your toes under, and lift yourself back up into plank, and exhale, downward facing dog. And come to your tippy toes, and slowly begin to roll your spine. So really hollowing out through your back and rounding through your shoulders, and then coming into a plank. You can adjust your feet. I know my feet I always have to adjust them when I'm coming into plank. So just do what works for you. Shift your shoulders over your wrists and exhale halfway down. And inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. And slowly walk your hands all the way to your feet. And just hang here for a second. Maybe grab your toes or grab your elbows. And take a slight bend in your knees, or maybe you need a bigger bend. Just bring your chest to your knees. And try to keep it as close as possible. And you'll feel a stretch in your lower back. And let the back of your head and your neck release. And just hang here. Maybe sway back and forth. Release your hands. Walk your hands over to the left, bending your left knee and straightening your right leg. And then slowly walking your hands over to the right, and take a bend in your right knee and straighten your left. And you should feel the stretch in your IT band. And come back to center. And slowly inhale all the way up to high mountain. Engaging your hands, so you're kind of almost doing spirit fingers here. That's how engaged your hands should be. Lifting up through your stomach and your spine. So it's almost as if someone is pulling your spine and your head all the way up to the top of the sky. And exhale your hands to your heart center. And inhale your arms all the way up to the sky. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, begin to walk your hands to the front of your mat. Shift your shoulders over your wrists. And exhale, lower down halfway. Or a modified version, you can lower your knees down to the ground. And then exhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Taking a couple of breaths here. And moving your legs around as they're getting a little warmed up. And really pushing out through your hands and your fingertips. And letting your shoulder blades just slowly fall down, lower down on your back. And come to your tippy toes and look to your hands. And slowly walk your feet all the way up to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up to high mountain, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale up, halfway lift. Exhale, step your feet back, shift your shoulders over your wrists, and flow through to your downward facing dog. And from down dog, take a look at your hands. Come to your tippy toes, bend your knees, and just take a couple of hops up to the top of your mat. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale up, high mountain. And exhale, begin to sit back into chair pose. So pull your shins back. You should be able to see the tops of your toes. And begin to sit a little bit lower. And at the same time, keep your chest up. Remembering to breathe. Maybe sitting a little bit lower. A little bit lower. Continuing to keep your chest open and high. Maybe bringing your arms out a little bit. Maybe bringing your hands into your chest. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, place your hands down on the mat. Step back into a plank and flow through to downward facing dog. Get your right leg up to the sky and open up your hip so that they're stacked on top of each other. Bend your right knee and try to take your heel to your butt. And just feeling the stretch all along the right side of your body. Stretching your hip flexors and the whole front side of your abdominal muscles. And exhale, place your foot back down on the ground. And inhale, kick your right leg up, your left leg up to the sky. And bend your left knee, kicking your left heel to your butt. And really opening up your hips. And exhale, lower your foot down to the ground. And kick your right leg up to the sky again, keeping your hips square to the mat. And take your right knee to your right elbow. And exhale your foot back to the sky. And exhale your right knee to your left elbow. And inhale your foot back up to the sky. And exhale your knee to your nose. Really round out through your shoulders, holding this here. And exhale, place your foot in between your hands. And on an inhale, lift your arms up to the sky for crescent lunge. And just take a moment here to adjust yourself. So your knee should be over your right pinky toe, your knee in line with your ankle. Your back leg should be completely straight. Coming up on the tippy toes of your back feet and relaxing your shoulders down. And continuing to breathe. Your gaze can be at a spot in front of you. And don't forget to engage your arms all the way up to your fingers. And exhale your hands down to the ground. Step back into plank. Shift your shoulders over and flow through to downward facing dog. Kick your left leg up to the sky. Bring your left knee to the outside of your left elbow. And inhale your leg back up to the sky. And exhale your left knee to the outside of your right elbow. And inhale back up to the sky. Inhale your left knee to your nose. Really rounding out through your shoulders. And exhale your foot in between your hands. And on an inhale, lift your arms up to the sky, taking this time to adjust. So take your hands to your hips. Just make sure that your hip bones are facing the front of your mat. And your left knee is over your left ankle. Kind of tracking it over your left pinky toe so you can still peek over and see your big toe. Releasing any tension you're holding in your shoulders. And exhale, bring your hands to frame your front foot. Step your foot back into plank, shift your shoulders over your wrists, and flow through to downward facing dog. And just take a couple of deep breaths here. Anytime your breathing becomes labored or things start to get a little tough, just always come back to your breath and try to control it. So breathing deeper might help. And breathing through your nose. And exhaling through your mouth. Then look to your hands. Come to your tippy toes, bend your knees. And just take a couple hops, or maybe even jump up to the top of your mat. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up to chair pose. Tucking your tailbone slightly under. Bringing your shins back and sitting down just a little bit deeper. So you can almost lift your toes up off the mat. Lifting your chest up, but keeping the back of your spine completely straight. And sitting a little bit lower. A little bit lower. And just a little bit more lower. And then slowly lower yourself all the way down, keeping your arms up. And bring yourself up into high boat pose. You can bend your knees here as a modification. And exhale, lower down. feet a couple inches off the ground. And inhale, back up to high boat pose. Exhale, low boat. Inhale, high. Exhale, low. Inhale, high. One more time. Exhale, low. Inhale, high. And then release, coming to a seated position. And bring your hands in front of you. Take your feet behind you. And come back to a child's pose. And you can keep your arms out in front of you, or you can take your hands behind you to clasp and get a nice shoulder stretch. And coming back to your breath, and slow it down just a little bit. Come back up into tabletop. Tuck your toes in there and push up into downward facing dog. Kick your right leg up to the sky. Place your foot in between your hands. Inhale up to crescent lunge. And exhale your hands back down to the mat. Step your foot back and flow through to downward facing dog. Kick your left leg up to the sky. And exhale your foot in between your hands. Inhale up, crescent lunge. Exhale, lower your hands back down. Step back into plank and flow through. Lift your hands, jump or step up to the top of the mat. Inhale up, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up to chair pose. And exhale your hands to heart center. And on an inhale, lean your chest forward, really lengthening through your spine. And on an exhale, twist your left elbow to the outside of your right knee into a side prayer twist. Remembering to keep your knees in one line, so if one is tracking in front of the other, just bring it back in line. Your gaze can be down at the ground, or you can look up past your right shoulder. On an inhale, you're still lengthening through your spine. On an exhale, you're twisting deeper. And exhale, forward fold. Bring your feet about hip width apart. And take your peace fingers and grab your big toe and forward fold. You can take a bend in your knees. Maybe straighten your legs and use your arms to pull you a little bit closer to the ground. Just move your legs around, feeling a little bit of a stretch. And release the back of your head and your neck, so just let it hang. Release your toes, bring your feet back together. Inhale all the way back up to chair pose. And exhale your hands to your heart center. And inhale, begin to lean forward, lengthening out through your spine. On an exhale, take your right elbow to the outside of your left knee and twist through your stomach. Remembering to keep your feet in line, sitting back just a little bit. And gaze can be up past your left elbow or left shoulder, or you can keep it down on the ground. Just remember to breathe. Inhale, lengthening through your spine, and exhale, twisting just a little bit deeper. And exhale, forward fold. And take your feet about hip width apart. And take the bottom or the tops of your hands so that they're on top of the ground. And you're tucking your hands underneath your feet. So your toes are kind of tickling your wrists. And just release the back of your head and your neck. And take a bend in your knees. And shift the weight from your heels to your toes. And just seeing how the stretch changes when you're moving. Release your hands down to the ground and slowly lower yourself down into a squat. And here we're going to try for crow pose. So a way to set up into this, you're going to take your hands and bring them flat on the ground and then slowly kind of bring your palms up so you're almost gripping the ground. You're going to use your fingers in crow to help you with balance. You're going to take the inside of your left knee to the outside of your left tricep and the inside of your right knee to the outside of your right tricep. And just walk your feet up a little bit, taking your hips up a little bit higher. Maybe taking one foot up off the ground and the other. And just lean your shoulders over. You're strong enough. And if you fall, there's really not that much far to go to the ground. And if you really want, you can take a block and maybe put your head on it and then lift your feet up. And there's modifications. And if you can get into crow, just hold this for a couple of breaths. And coming out, step your legs back into plank and flow through to downward facing dog. And take a couple of breaths here. Slowing it down just a little bit. Maybe still moving your legs around if you need a little bit more of a deeper stretch. And kick your right leg up to the sky. And exhale your foot down to the ground. And inhale up to crescent lunge. And exhale your hands out to a T. And kind of windmill your arms around. So your left hand comes to the front of the room. Your right arm to the back. For a revolved forward twist. And exhale your right hand to the back of your left thigh. And inhale your left arm up to the sky. Taking your gaze to the fingertips on your left hand. And exhale your left hand to the inside of your right foot and your right arm up to the sky for a low lunge twist. And slowly begin to come to the outside of your left foot. So you're rolling over to the outside of your left foot. And take your foot, your right foot, and kind of lean it out and roll out to the side of your right foot. And you'll feel this stretch right here on your glutes. And take your right foot over top of your left foot so that your feet are stacked and coming into side plank. Left wrist is all in one line up to your left shoulder, right wrist. And exhale your right hand down to the ground and flow through to downward facing dog. Taking a couple of breaths here before we repeat this on the other side. Take your left leg up to the sky. And exhale, place your foot in between your hands. And inhale up to crescent lunge. And exhale your hands out to a T. And then inhale, take your right arm to the front, your left arm to the back. Sit a little bit lower in your lunge. And take your gaze to your back hand. And exhale your back hand to your right thigh. And inhale your right arm up to the sky. And exhale your right hand to the inside of your left foot. Lifting your left arm up to the sky for a revolved low lunge. And start to roll over to the outside of your right foot and take your left foot a little bit more to the edge of your mat. And just let your left hip open. And you'll feel this stretch in your hip right here. And take your left foot to stack on top of your right foot, coming into side plank. And pushing your hips up a little bit higher, taking your gaze to your top hand. And exhale, lower down to plank. Shift your shoulders over your wrist, and exhale, lower all the way down to the mat. Relax your arms down beside you, and rest your cheek down on the ground. And take your chin to the mat, and keeping your knees in line with your hips, reach around and grab the tops of your feet, or maybe around your ankles, whatever is comfortable for you. And we're going to lift up into bow pose. And if this is as far as you can go in bow pose, then just stay here. And you're still getting a stretch in your quads. And then inhale, lift your chest up, and push your feet back into your hands. And you'll feel yourself begin to lift up. Continuing to flex your feet. And exhale, lower down. Take your hands next to your shoulders and push yourself back so that you're sitting on your heels. We're going to go to Camel Pose. This is a good way to stretch the entire front part of your body. We sit at a desk all day and we're hunched over, so this is a good counter pose to help stretch everything out. Especially those with low back pain, this will stretch out your psoas muscle and the fronts of your quads. So this will really help release any tightness you have in the front side of your body that kind of locks out your lower back. So that's why a lot of us have lower back pain, is because the front part of our body is so tight. So this is a really good pose to do if you sit at a desk all day. So come to standing on your knees and your shins, and take your knees about hip width apart. And inhale your arms up to the sky. And exhale, take your hands behind your back. So the heel of your palm should be in the lower part of your back. And before you go back, you don't want to bend through your lower back. you want to think about tucking your tailbone slightly under and opening up your chest. And then pushing your hips forward. So your hips are leading you into this pose and your chest is opening up at the same time. And if you start to feel any pressure or pain in your lower back, just let up on this pose, maybe coming back up, tucking your tailbone under just a little bit, and using your hips to push you back. And when you've gone as far as you can go, you can release your head. Maybe take your hands to your heels. And really using your stomach and the front of your chest to push you forward. Look to your hands and just slowly hop your feet up to your hands and lower yourself down to a seated position. We're going to do a couple of stretches before we settle down and go into Shavasana. So lower down all the way to your back and bring both of your legs up so that your shins are parallel to your mat. And take your right ankle to the top part of your left knee, opening up your right hip and taking your hands and reaching around the back of your hamstring, or maybe even reaching around to your shin and pulling very slowly your leg closer to you into figure four. And this is basically just a reclined pigeon. It's opening up your hips. And exhale, release, and switch, taking your left ankle to the top of your right knee and reaching your hands around to grab behind your right leg or the front of your right shin. And exhale, release, bringing your legs back and taking your hands and grabbing the outside of your feet, or maybe the insides of your feet for happy baby, and just roll back and forth. And give your spine a little massage. And maybe opening up your legs a little bit for one last final stretch. And then release, coming down into the mat, relaxing, and taking 1 or 2 minutes for Shavasana to let your body slow down and let your breath slow down, so you give yourself this one final moment of relaxation. And slowly begin to move your fingers and your toes, and your wrists and your ankles, reaching your arms all the way over your head, and tucking your knees, and make your way up into a seated position. So you finish the practice today. Well, I hope you enjoyed this quick 30-minute practice and you got a nice little workout and you feel a little bit more stretched out. So thanks for joining me, guys. See you next time.